Hello! So from what I've seen over the past few weeks, one of the hottest topics, not only on the internet, but also kind of in the mainstream, has been Jojo Siwa and her cracktivities. And I want to talk about it as someone who's been observing Jojo Siwa since the beginning. For those of you who don't know, Jojo made her big break when she became part of the main cast on a reality TV show called Dance Moms. Dance Moms, for you uncultured swines who don't know, is basically just a show about a group of little girls who dance while they get screamed at by some obese ruffian of a woman.
Smack your kid in the back with it and say, "What's wrong with you? Why wouldn't you introduce yourself?"
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
Because you were a bad mother and you didn't
Jill
say.
is not a bad mother.
Oh my
Jill
God.
is not a bad
You know what,
mother.
Abby? Kendall, your mom will stick your hand up your butt and move your mouth like a puppet.
Stop.
Yes.
You're really embarrassing.
Yeah, right.
Well, you should be embarrassed.
It is actually a really funny show, and I highly recommend anyone watch it because it is quite literally peak entertainment. I have rewatched it like 6 times. That show's amazing. It's so good. Just watch it. But anyways, Jojo garnered a ton of success from the whole experience, and I would say that she probably made the most out of the exposure versus all of the other cast members. Maddie Ziegler was like the main star of the cast, so she was probably rewarded the most opportunities that came directly from the show themselves. But Jojo used the exposure to launch her social media career, and since she has such a striking personality, there were definitely people who were interested to see what her deal was. Since she was already famous, she had a bunch of people who wanted to collab with her, so she was collabing with big names at the time, such as Colleen Ballinger and Rebecca Zambolo. Side note, I really wish Colleen Ballinger was still relevant to talk about because I have so much I could say about that. I literally hated Miranda Sings as a kid. I thought she was so annoying, and all the bitches who were mean to me loved her, so I just hated her. But I loved Colleen. Colleen is the person who does Miranda Sings, and she also has her own channel, obviously, but I loved her. But anyways, Jojo continued to get more and more successful on the internet, and since her brand was so juvenile, she had basically every single odd working in her favor. YouTube tends to promote brand-safe content the most, especially back when much more vulgar content was allowed on YouTube, because we're talking about when Jojo was blowing up, it was like 2014 to 2016, and we all know what was going down on YouTube 2014 to 2016.
This guy has fucking let anyone talk because you sit there in your stupid fucking podcast and just fucking regurgitate your same fucking point.
So Jojo was like just a breath of fresh air to Google's PR team, I'm sure. She had a ton of brands wanting to work with her and a bunch of companies who wanted to make her the face of their products. This came in the form of a bunch of collaborative products, such as all the stuff that she launched with Claire's. If you didn't know, Claire's is basically just an overpriced boutique for like little girls. She was already really known for always having a big ass bow in her hair, so they started her off with launching a collection of her own bows, and it basically just took off from there. She did a bunch more products with Claire's amongst heaps of others that would get sold at places like Target, so she like really had a reach. None of the products were like super specific. They were kind of just normal kids toys just with Jojo's face on it because they could probably charge like at least $10 more with Jojo's face on it. The products only became more prevalent when she got her Nickelodeon deal. She was a huge face over at Nickelodeon and became extremely associated with their brand, and that's where she really started to get super famous, like celebrity status. She is now the face of $1 billion Siwa empire, so it's fair to say that she is very successful. She's done very well for herself. But Jojo obviously did not remain a kid forever, and that leads us to where we are today. Get this. Jojo Siwa is turning into Jake Paul. I'm just kidding, but their physical appearances are really starting to resemble each other. Jojo Siwa, as of late, has been on a self-proclaimed rebellious adventure where she has proclaimed that she is switching to the dark side and she's officially in her edgy era. In fact, she said she is doing what no other has done, and she is doing an entirely new thing for our generation. If you've been on TikTok the past few days or weeks, you've definitely heard this audio.
No one has made this dramatic of a change yet. No one has made, in my generation, this extreme of a switch. And I am the first in the generation. It is very scary, but someone's got to do it.
Hey, we can't.
And there are people in my generation who have gone from child star to adult star in music world, incredibly super successful careers, but not this 180, and not making it apparent that it's a 180. And so I'm really grateful to have this moment.
You're giving me chills over here.
In fact, I resonated with the statement myself.
No one has made this dramatic of a change yet. No one has made, in my generation, this extreme of a switch.
I like how the interviewer is trying his best not to burst out laughing, and props to him, because if I was in that situation, there is no way that my brain would have mentally allowed me to act accordingly in that situation. I don't know if anybody else has the same problem, but if there is an uncomfortable or unfortunate situation, or just any situation in general where I absolutely cannot laugh or smile, even if it's like I don't even want to laugh or smile, like I don't even think it's funny, I will it makes, when people die, it is so stressful because I like my face does not exemplify what I'm feeling. But there we have it, folks. Jojo Siwa is doing the absolute unthinkable, and it's going to be a complete 180 that no one has ever seen before. No one has made this dramatic of a change yet. I like how she even acknowledges that other child stars have gone through a similar phase, but hers is just going to be way more shocking and way more out there. I'm not sure what could top Hannah Montana riding a wrecking ball nude, so she's talking a pretty big game. It's funny because based on her appearance, the only thing that has really changed is her color scheme, and her ponytail has centered out a little bit. For reference, this has always been Jojo Siwa's signature look. As you can see, she's still keeping the sparkly sequin glitter look. She's just incorporating the color black, aka nothing that was that unexpected. But the musical project that Jojo was alluding to was a song that was dropped along with a music video called Karma. Right now, I strongly advise you to pause this video and go watch the music video. You won't be necessarily disappointed. You might be a little bit flabbergasted, but just so we're all on the same page, I recommend going and watching that and then coming back. So to be completely honest, it kind of delivered. That certainly was a 180. I'm not sure if it was in the badass way that Jojo was necessarily intending it to be. I feel like it's more of just like a baffled way. Less of a holy shit she did that, more of a holy shit, what the f is that? Nickelodeon is probably regretting every single decision they've ever made when it comes to Jojo Siwa, because the video is pretty vulgar and it is about her committing infidelity. And there was a lot of humping displayed, which isn't super brand safe for a kids network, but who knows what they're even thinking. I actually would like to know what they are thinking. Is she even associated with them anymore? Because I feel like she would not be able to do stuff like this if she was still attached to them. But I feel like there'd be like at least some sort of contract in place that would stop her from doing stuff like this, unless she's like truly really free from it, because the Siwas have a history of getting out of contracts, let me tell you. On Dance Moms, one of like the biggest things that's like criticized about it is how trapped these moms were in their contracts, because if they left, they would have to pay like $100,000 to $500,000, which was crazy. They literally weren't allowed off. But Jessica and Jojo Siwa found a way around this contract, found a loophole, and they were able to just YOLO it out of there. I think that was for her Nickelodeon deal. Jessica Siwa is like a blonde, fat Kris Jenner. She said she was a bad girl who did some bad things, and everybody just finds that really funny because, again, we're talking about someone who looked like this just a few years ago. She sounds like 14-year-old me in my Mint Jewel Pod era. I think this is her trying to address some of her former controversies and kind of say a little frick you to the haters. If you didn't know, Jojo a couple years back had allegations brought against her of emotional and cheating from her ex-partners. which also kind of relates why the entire video is about her cheating on her girlfriend. She never admitted fault in response, instead just saying that a lot of details were left out. I never really looked that into it because I didn't really care that much, so I'm not going to say whether or not I think it's true or false because I genuinely have zero clue whatsoever. I don't know who or if anyone is lying, but she did catch a lot of slack for it, and I think that kind of ignited the spark that led to the fire of the internet kind of really not liking Jojo Siwa, because she's also not a kid anymore, so people can't use like the oh, she's just a kid, stop bullying a child, because now she's like a whole ass adult, which some people seem to forget, but I don't forget, and I feel like a lot of the internet has not forgotten. But I think this video is kind of referencing that and her being like, I don't give a I fuck bitches. She says she wants to make the whole rebrand like obvious and upfront, which isn't really a thing when it comes to what she's trying to do. If you're actively seeking to be commended, that kind of defeats the entire premise of a rebellion. Also, if you're producing it so heavily, it starts to seem less like a genuine shift in personality and more just like a marketing ploy, which is something public figures do all the time because it works. But if JoJo's trying to have a Miley Cyrus, Elton John, she said Elton John at one point, she compared herself to David Bowie and Elton John, like her whole transition thing, which is crazy. But if she's going for like that whole thing, it can't seem orchestrated. That's like completely not the point. The thing with Miley and others like that specifically is that they did genuinely seem to be going through a rough patch, and it was kind of sad for everyone to watch these like American sweethearts turn into like hardcore like party drug lords, not drug lords, hardcore like party girls, and people thought it was probably pretty sad, which is why everybody was watching. Jojo, on the other hand, comes across as pretty desperate and like she's trying to force a reputation, and it just starts to get really, really, really cringe. But who knows, maybe Jojo is completely aware that everything that she says is taken as utter comedy, and maybe she's just chilling there counting her racks, laughing at all of us. But my favorite thing that came out of this situation was someone got their whole ass career revived. The song Karma was originally written, it was called Karma's a Bitch, and it was originally written for Miley Cyrus, who didn't take it, and then it was picked up by someone named Britt Smith, and she made a ass music video to it, but then apparently her label or her decided not to release it because it still remains an unreleased song. The whole thing is up on YouTube, and it's actually pretty funny because the song is genuinely a bop, and I have totally been listening to it. Literally just JoJo doing it completely ruins it and makes the song like cringe and sounds like it's like poorly written, because JoJo also literally just can't sing. Not everybody's born with the ability to apply range or just sing at all, which is the case with JoJo in my completely unqualified opinion. I am definitely no choir director, but I've seen these videos.
You are still a traitor. You're still a traitor.
The way that you could literally watch her face turn red is absolutely hilarious. But anyways, you might be wondering, who the fuck is Britt Smith? Because I was wondering the exact same thing. When I first saw her, I thought she was Lady Gaga, and I'm like, this is a Lady Gaga song? And then I saw it again, and I'm like, that looks like Paris Hilton, but no, it's Britt Smith. Apparently she was screwed over by her label a long time ago, but she has recently garnered some newfound success, purely solely fueled by the internet's need to spite JoJo. Everyone made like a huge deal out of it that JoJo stole the song, but JoJo has said that she's bought all of the rights to it, that it was never released anyways, so she is completely within moral and ethical bounds, and she did not steal anyone's song. It's actually a completely normal thing for performers to not write their own songs and buy songs from songwriters. Like your favorite pop stars, other than the ones that you know write their music, probably do not. But yeah, I just think it's funny that people suddenly know who this lady Britt Smith is, all because people wanted to troll Jojo Siwa. Like, I think people's goal was to, like, make Britt Smith blow up more than Jojo Siwa, which is literally hilarious. It's not really working, because Jojo Siwa's Jojo Siwa. But it's still really funny. And judging by paparazzi clips, I think it's getting to Jojo a little bit. That's essentially all that's been happening with this. And my only thought that this leads me to is, what drugs is Jojo Siwa doing? I feel like she would definitely start doing drugs since she's trying to be in like a rebel phase. And what's more rebellious than doing drugs? Especially if you were Jojo Siwa and now you're like snorting a line of coke off a stripper's ass. Like, people think she's doing crack, but this bitch has a net worth of $20 million. So I have a feeling that she is definitely splurging on that pure stuff. Don't insult Jojo Siwa like that. Imagine the plug pulling up to the spot and just Jojo Siwa emerges. That would really start making me questioning my life decisions if I pulled up and was selling cocaine to this bitch. Maybe she's in a drug-induced psychosis and the plug is just tossing and turning over guilt that he has subjected the whole entire internet to Jojo Siwa's mania. One thing that's important to consider, though, is kind of pitiful. One thing to consider that is kind of pitiful about JoJo is that at the end of the day, she is still a child star and definitely one who has roughly the same amount of exposure as the Disney and Nickelodeon kids that we see go crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's actually losing it and her team is just kind of trying to exploit the cringe. She's been in the spotlight her entire life. She started going on TV when she was 9, because before she was on Dance Moms, she was on a different show of Abby Lee Miller's. Dance Moms was where she got really famous, but she was on Dance Moms because people liked her so much on that other show. And she also mentions at some point that her mom has been bleaching her hair blonde. Jojo Siwa's brunette. Her mom has been bleaching her hair blonde since she was a 2-year-old baby. A 2-year-old is a baby. You can't bleach a baby's hair. Just that fact alone shows that Jojo Siwa's life was kind of completely laid out for her, and she probably never got the chance to decide what she wanted to do. Even if that is what she wanted to do in the moment, I don't think she really got much of a choice. And as successful as Jojo got, it definitely did not exclude any bullying, especially considering the time that she was brought up in. She's always been viewed as pretty obnoxious by anyone over the age of 10, so you can imagine that in 2014 through 16, the internet was having a field day with her. All of these factors could definitely lead someone to start losing it, trying to take control over their brand or just their lives in general. So I do kind of feel bad for her, but that's kind of overshadowed by the mass amounts of cringe that I am consumed by every time that I try to look into her. It's almost good cringe, though. It's like entertaining cringe. But yeah, anyways, that's all I really have to talk about. But if anything develops about her, I'll definitely talk about it because I genuinely find it very entertaining. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked me, you can subscribe if you want, or you could follow me on Instagram, rose.adamucci. But if you go on my Instagram and like every single one of my posts at once, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to block you because that's like 120 notifications, and that is kind of disrupting to whatever I am doing at the moment on my phone. So just don't do that. Also, I have some people telling me to make a Discord. I did actually already make a Discord, like, once I started getting all these subscribers. It's called Rose's Wide Eyes. Rose's Wide Eyes. But I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with it. I got it because that's what YouTubers tend to use. I don't know if you guys want, like, a server or something, but I have absolutely zero clue how to do that. But I'm open to suggestions. But yeah, again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.